Pikachu.
I don't know.
Oh, shoot. That's a good one. Pika-pee. Okay.
Pika?
Pika.
Sure.
I should have done the Pikachu.
You still can. We're coming back in, remember?
Oh, right.
Hilary used Thunderbolt.
Pikachu. Hello and welcome to Rhythm Encounter episode 72 on game music concerts. My name is Hilary Andreff. I'm hosting today. Hello, good to have you. And with me, I have two fantastic panelists, Jono Logan.
Hello, everyone.
And Mike Salbato, who's usually hosting.
I am, but apparently I am third on the list today.
There are only three of us.
It's saved the best for last, Mike. It's saved the best for last.
Best for last.
Right, okay. I'm the and credit.
Yes, you're the and credit.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I'll take it.
Okay.
I don't really care.
Yeah, you're the big actor who's slumming it. You're the Chevy Chase of Community in this case.
I'm not sure I love this comparison all of a sudden.
Having some familiarity with his character and Community, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this either.
Or familiarity with Chevy Chase in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
Wait, can I be Chevy Chase from like the vacation movies?
You want to be Clark Griswold? You can be Clark Griswold. That's you're the patriarch of the RPG fan family.
Okay.
Actually, that makes it sound like you're in Yakuza.
I was going to say Yakuza mobster something.
Look, we're not doing that episode yet, Jono.
I'm waiting.
But
waiting
soon.
for months.
It would be a good episode,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, today's topic, we are going to be talking about game music concerts, which is an exciting and timely topic as, you know, venues are opening up again. Everybody, please concert go safely. And, you know, it's been a while, so it's a good time to reminisce, kind of talk about the magic of seeing some of this video game music that we all love live. So I have a kind of a question of the day. So we'll start with you this time, Mike. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your game music concert background? What shows have you seen? What do you like?
I'm trying to think of my first one. I think my first one was seeing the Symphony of the Goddesses, the Zelda concert in 2012, which I feel like there must have been something before that, but that's the first one that really stands out. That was incredible. I had not heard Zelda music live. I mean, now I've heard it all the time. Like, it always comes up at MagFest and other things, but that was the first time. And they really covered a lot of ground in that one. There was Wind Waker, I think there was Twilight Princess, there was, of course, things you would expect, like the main theme and Ocarina of Time. I was especially happy because there was Link's Awakening music.
I was going to say, isn't that the tour where they added Link's Awakening?
They did add Link's Awakening, and I may have cried.
Aw.
It was just beautiful.
That is the tour I saw them on too, and same thing.
Yeah, so that's where it started, and then I've been to, I don't know, four or five different MagFests. I've seen video games live several times because they wisely, when they do the LA shows, they would always coincide with E3. So a lot of times when we would go to E3 as RPG fan, several of us could also go to video games live.
They put on a good show.
They did. And then, not that you're asking for, every concert I've been to, but
Comprehensive.
Those are the big ones. And then, of course, I have to mention the most recent, which was 6 days ago.
Surprise.
Where we saw the Final Fantasy VII Remake Orchestra Tour, which was an experience. That was supposed to happen, I think, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
A little
Correct.
over a year ago, and obviously they postponed it. Thankfully, they postponed it, and we didn't have to get refunds and start all over. They just moved our tickets back.
I hear that game is some pretty good music.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
And they did scoring it. They did a fantastic job of kind of incorporating some of the dynamic nature, some of the updates, really,
Yeah.
that they had to do for the game into the score for the concert.
Yeah,
I mean, they were passing the parts around between lots of different instruments and sections, and
yep. They had the vocal song Hollow, and I wish I remembered. We should have bought a program. The vocalist they had on that, because he was incredible.
yeah, he was really
good,
into it.
Yeah, a good mix of original Final Fantasy VII stuff and some of the brand new music. So, and that's going at least, there's a lot of shows next year. I think they have dates through the end of 2022. So I would recommend checking that out if it's in your area.
So this is kind of a, active, dynamic, ongoing topic. too, which is important. So what about you, Jono?
I can honestly say, much to the shock of probably both of you, I have never been to a video game concert.
Oh, I hope you plan to.
Well, actually, I was planning to. Back when I first joined RPG Fan, it was like all of a sudden the certain concepts opened to me. Like, wait a second, these concerts that I've seen on YouTube actually happen. And I live in a world-class city of Toronto where things happen. So it was the kind of thing I was like, I'm going to start going to some stuff and seeing some concerts. And then, of course, we didn't go to concerts anymore. So, but yeah, this is not a deliberate omission. This is not me being like video game concert music. Pfft, whatever. I prefer the original MIDI.
Well, clearly not, because you're here.
Yeah, although sometimes I do prefer the original MIDI, but that's another point, which actually I'll probably get into in one of the songs coming up.
Perfect.
Yeah, but I love video game music. I love live video game music, and I love live music and live theater. I mean, this is my background, so going to see things like this is something that I celebrate and love. And the fact that it's combined with video games and specifically RPGs only makes it even better.
Well, great. Just to share really briefly, my background, I've also been to several MagFests at this point, and I've seen a decent number of shows. I think my favorite is actually Final Symphony, which was kind of a limited tour, but I saw it in Baltimore, and they really went all out on arranging Final Fantasy music to be like a symphony. So they changed the instrumentation and stuff more dramatically than you'd expect, like at Distant Worlds, but it worked. Final Fantasy X music made a really cool piano concerto. The performers were great. And I just happened to be sitting in front of some musicians from the local video game orchestra, the Maryland Video Game Orchestra. So I got to talk to them during intermission. So that made it a really neat experience. And, I also like the smaller community concerts. So I encourage listeners, use the internet, look it up, see if you have a local video game orchestra and support them if you can, because it's a fun time. Yeah, so there's a variety of ways that you can do live video game music, that it can be performed, from giant symphony orchestras to smaller ensembles. And we're hoping to and musical styles as well. There are a bunch of different musical styles. We're hoping to kind of show some of that variety here today. So if everyone's ready, I'll start announcing our first block.
Yeah, cool. I'm good.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So our first block is the Square Enix block. We like Square Enix here. There's some really great music. They are a large proportion of RPG concerts. Distant Worlds is usually one of the first ones you hear about. So I will let you two introduce your respective songs for that block, starting with Mike.
I have this thing behind the scenes where even though Square Enix is a huge, huge part of our coverage at the site, and there's so much to pick from musically for almost any topic. I don't think we can do a Wild Arms episode of Rhythm Encounter and include Square Enix games, but otherwise it's really easy to fall into like everyone picks a Final Fantasy song. So sometimes I try not pick something obvious, but at the same time, last year we got this Blu-ray of this Chrono Cross concert from 2019, which used to only be available in Japan. Like, there was no real way to purchase that. I think it was digital only in Japan or something like that. There wasn't a physical thing because you couldn't even import it. But last year they made it available everywhere. And there's a lot of Chrono Cross music out there, arrangements, and I can't rank them anymore. I used to be able to rank them, but there's so many good things now. But this performance is incredible. If you can get your hands on the Blu-ray, the disc, it's absolutely worth it. I should be saying all of this later, but anyway. So my first pick is Guldove from that Chrono Cross concert. And then after that, Jono has a song.
Yes, speaking of someone who picked the obvious Final Fantasy song, I picked Matoya's Cave. It's from Final Fantasy 1, but this version is on the Black Mages Live. The Black Mages are a instrumental rock band from Japan. Nobuo Uematsu is I don't know if he's the band leader, but he was one of the founders. And they just do arrangements, like progressive metal arrangements of Final Fantasy songs. So this is a live concert version of Matoya's Cave, and it's a little bit different than the one you might recognize from Final Fantasy 1, or I guess Final Fantasy 14, if you are familiar with that title.
Okay, so the Black Mages aren't around anymore.
No, they're not. They left in 2010, I think.
Okay. I'm just making sure. You were speaking in present tense, so I was like, wait a minute.
No, you're right. I was speaking in present tense, but I know they're not around anymore. Although there is a new band that's out I haven't heard a lot of their stuff, but apparently they are kind of picking up the slack of the Black Mages. Ah, crap. What are they called?
I mean, do you mean Uematsu's current? Well, actually, is Earthbound Papa's even his current?
Oh, the Earthbound Papas, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that he's involved in it. Yeah, he is.
I mean, he was, but I also don't know if they've done anything recently.
We could do a whole episode on Uematsu's bands.
Yeah, we could.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's not a terrible idea for a future episode.
Yeah.
Or just like game composer bands in general, because there are several.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is this is from one of their, I think it's their second live show that's recorded. I don't think the album is available to purchase, but it is on YouTube.
Above the Sky. Yep, that is their second one. Above the Sky. All right.
And I mean, it's the song itself is from The Skies Above, so their second album.
So this is a range of kind of musical tones. So let's listen to the slightly Celtic, very pretty Guldove, and then Matoya's Cave.
So now I'm questioning if it's Guldove or Guldove. Is it supposed to be a bird theme? Because now I don't know.
I always make everything bird themed.
I know you do, but like...
Actually, it's very nautical, so yeah, it might be Guldove.
Oh, well, whatever.
Hey, that sounds like something that the, creators of Chrono Cross may have thought of.
It's 2 birds, not just one. Okay.
It's very possible. It's very possible that it is a double bird themed song here.
There's 2 worlds, 2 birds.
Does that mean in one world that's you emphasize the gull and the other one you emphasize the dove? That
would be actually a brilliant thing. They're like, welcome to Guldove, or welcome to Guldove.
Guldove.
That's true.
It's just one of those little differences that make Chrono Cross such a... I'm not going to finish that sentence. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm just having flashbacks to this audiobook I'm reading now where the narrator inflects poorly. I'll tell you about it later. Anyway, so when in 2015, Square Enix released an album called To Faraway Times. So it was a mostly vocal arrangement album that covered both Chrono games. And a Chrono Cross arrangement album has been like in the works or talked about or rumored for way too long. Like other Xenogears things had come out, and it was a very long time before that finally happened. So it was a big deal when it came out. And it was even more exciting, at least for me, that it had music from both games. So I was pretty convinced that was the final word on Chrono Cross and arrangements, and like this will be hard to top, which probably still true. But then after that came out, we got that orchestra box, which is also a great collection of music. And then a few years later, we got this concert thing. Now, I probably shouldn't have talked about everything I did before, but it's still very notable to me that it was such a big deal that this was out in Japan. There was no way, unless you had like someone in Japan that could buy it for you digitally, or if you set up some account. Like I don't even remember how you got it, but either way, I waited a long time, and I was really happy when we were able to buy it last year. And I forgot how much it was originally. Like there was a regular version, and then there was this crazy limited edition that had a bonus disc, which of course that's the one that we have in this house.
Yes.
Yeah, that bonus disc also worth talking about at some point.
The guitar?
Yeah, the guitar with, I'm blanking. Remind me.
Sam, one of the Super Guitar Brothers.
One of the Super Guitar Brothers collaborated with Mitsuda on...
Sam Griffin.
And it's exciting. It's an exciting bonus for that album, but I'm a little bummed that you have to get that limited to get it, because it's good stuff.
Yeah, I could talk about just that guitar collection.
Anyway, all of that to say that this entire concert is just magical. I mean, seeing everyone on stage, and there's some interesting arrangements on some of the songs, and some are a little more true to the original. This one in particular, how do I say this? I don't know. I forget when it is in the song. There's a part where it like shifts, because it sounds... Is traditional the right word?
153 when the strings kick in, I think.
Yeah. And I think I have this note on another song coming up here too, but that's one of the things I like about the live music, because I'm okay if it's literally just a live performance of a song you know and love, and it's pretty much what you expect to hear. But when they mix it up a little bit and give you something that you haven't heard before, I really appreciate that. And that's really something that they do throughout this entire show. And I think this song in particular is a good example of that, which is why I picked this, because it was really hard to pick one from this whole album.
Yeah, I actually, one of my comments kind of relating to that is there's like a little kind of flute wind interlude in the middle, and I think it just really adds to the ambiance, because this song really kind of paints a picture, kind of a relaxing setting, waves, ocean. You sort of feel like you're at the shore, and I think that little like wind interlude really adds to that.
You see the gulls.
Yeah.
Maybe even see the doves.
Maybe both. Yeah, but you feel like you're walking on the beach or hearing the waves. And I think that is really enhanced in this live version. Also, when you talk about Mitsuda anything, I am always happy when you get the opportunity to add those live kind of Celtic sounds and Celtic instruments. He has a lot of Celtic influences in his work, so I'm always happy to hear those instruments. And you definitely get that in this piece. It weaves really well with the rest of the instrumentation. It's not like, hey, this is a Celtic arrangement specifically. Right.
I can usually pick that out with his music. Like I can hear it, but yeah, it's not really in your face. Like, hey, that's what we're doing in this particular song.
Hear her bagpipes? No.
Yeah. What do you think, Jono?
Well, off the bat, I gotta say that just just admitting something is that I do not like Chrono Cross. I don't like it. I love Chrono Trigger. I don't like Chrono Cross. I think there's too many characters. I think there are bizarre motivations. I don't think there's enough story to actually fit in the game. However, I also think that the music of Chrono Cross is possibly the best on the PlayStation. I think it might be my favorite Squaresoft soundtrack of the era. It's remarkable.
It was one of my first 2 game soundtracks that I ever bought.
What I think one of the most remarkable things about it is this soundtrack is to Chrono Trigger what I wish that Chrono Cross was to Chrono Trigger, in the sense that there are callbacks, there are little moments that remind me of it, but it stands on its own as a remarkable piece. And I think this song is a great example of that. I think this version is absolutely remarkable. I think it takes the basic, like you said, Mike, I think it takes the basic structure of the song. When it starts out, it just sounds like a live version of the version that you hear on the actual in the actual game. And then it starts building and gets a little bit more energy. I love that if you pay real close attention, you can actually hear the audience clapping in the background a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That reminds me of kind of Millennial Fair, like live versions of that where everyone is clapping and doing the sound effects.
When I think when it really kicks up a notch, about 2 minutes into the song, it takes on a whole new energy. And you can feel that shift in the audience. I think that's one of the things that makes live music so remarkable, and live performance in general. It's one of the things that I think I loved the most about being on stage when I did it, and I know that a lot of performers did too, is when you're really, really on, and when the audience is there with you, it creates an energy feedback loop where it's you feed the audience feeds you more energy, and then by the end of the show, you're just like sweating. It's just you're giving everything you can. It's being on a massive high. And I feel like that's what this song kind of does, to the point where I think the spontaneous audience applause at the end, just before the song even ends, is wonderful. And I think it's extraordinarily well-deserved at that point in the song, because they just really did something amazing with it. I actually don't know this album, and now that I've listened to this song, I'm thinking, hey, I want to listen to this album.
It's a good one.
Great.
I mean,
yeah, from what I've heard.
Like I keep saying, like, I think the availability of it is probably why you hadn't heard of it.
Yeah.
But it's a little more widely available now. And, it's worth mentioning just because it's one of those, like, it's 20th anniversary show. It's a pretty big deal. And it's something that we here in this area of the world kind of didn't have access to for a long time.
Yeah.
It's surprising that it hasn't gotten more attention over the years in terms of arrangements. And I'm glad that there are albums coming out that do something about that, like the Soundbox and this.
Right. I guess I can forgive you for your feelings on the game.
I don't think it works.
It's funny though. I mean, not that we're really here to talk about the games, but I didn't like it the first time I played either. Partially because I think I was expecting more of a sequel, and probably also because I played it in Japanese, so there was some stuff lost in translation.
Yeah, I think that would be a bit of a barrier if you didn't speak Japanese fluently.
I had some help getting through it. So, but yeah, like it was so different that I couldn't get on board with it at first.
See, I don't think it was that for me. I think that, yeah, it would have been nice to get a more direct connection to Chrono Trigger, and yeah, there were moments where you're a little bit heartbroken, like Lucas' orphanage burning down and that kind of thing. But for me, it was the game experience itself. I just didn't enjoy it. There's a difference between being disappointed in something and not enjoying something.
Right.
And I found myself not enjoying Chrono Cross the first time I played it, really. And then a few years later, I decided, okay, well, I'll play it again because maybe I missed something. And I got well into the second world. And I was just like, I just am not emotionally connecting to any of these characters. I'm not in love with the battle system. I don't feel the plot is really pushing itself forward. There are some intriguing questions being raised, but I know for a fact that they don't really have satisfying answers, at least to me.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah,
that makes things difficult.
Yeah, it just didn't work for me, and that's fine. Not all games need to, and I know Chrono Cross is a beloved game. Many people love it. But again, one thing I think that no one can say that this game does not have a blow the roof off the top soundtrack, because it does. It's just astoundingly good.
Yep. Speaking of blowing the roof off.
Yeah, you know who blows the roof off places? Bands like the Black Mages.
And Uematsu on a keyboard.
At least they did it one time.
Yes.
R.I.P. Black Mages.
No, don't say that. They're not dead.
Right. I need to stop doing that.
Okay, well, Matoya's cave?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's go into the cave now.
Okay.
I think I need to hide there.
Okay, well, if anyone knows the original, it's a cool piece of music. My first exposure to this song wasn't in the original Final Fantasy, actually. It was on, I think it was Prey? It was one of the Final Fantasy vocal albums from the 90s. And Matoya's Cave has a French vocal attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
That version is fun.
Yeah, it's a fun little version. It's a nice little story about like friends who are fighting together, and it's cool. And I always really loved this song, and I loved arrangements of this song, like the one on the again, like the 90s Final Fantasy symphonic album. Is amazing. So when I first heard this version, I just was blown away by it. I love how this version starts out, specifically this live version, because you don't even know what song it is at first. It's just like, they're kind of fooling around on acoustic guitar, playing around. You might have an inkling of it if you know the album, because acoustic guitar is in this song, but he's not really playing it. And then the melody comes in very, very simply on an electric guitar, and it's very relaxed and calm, and it's a really nice, smooth, it's a perfect way to start the song, I think. And then the drums come in and the synth underneath, and the song starts gaining complexity as it goes on, which is kind of amazing when you consider that the original song, Matoya's Cave, which is, considered to be a beloved Final Fantasy song, it's a 32-second loop of music. That's not a lot of time to develop a full-fledged piece, but that's the genius of Uematsu. He does it beautifully. He was a master of the form of utilizing the Nintendo NES sound chip to the best of its ability. Now, what they've done with that 32-second loop over the years is quite remarkable, and including this version. It just gains more and more complexity, and it never feels repetitive. It feels always like fresh and alive. And then all of a sudden, there's this blues improvisational section on organ and piano, and which is like, what? I don't remember that happening in the Nintendo version.
Matoya's a blues fan. Okay, I'm on board with this.
Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. She just drops the needle on the record when someone comes in.
Yep, I like that.
I do too. And it's just this crazy improvisation on organ and piano, which is terrific. It stops the song that you were listening to dead and puts you into this completely different area that still works.
It does, but it's not jarring.
I don't think it's jarring either. It's kind of unexpected, but it's not like, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Let's go with this then. I guess we're doing this now. And then as soon as it starts, and like with the abruptness it starts with, it's like, oh, we're back into the song again. Okay, here we go. And then my favorite moment in this song by far, it's such a easy moment. It's an easy way to get an audience an emotional reaction.
I think I already know what you're gonna say.
Oh yeah, it's the bit where they stop playing and all of a sudden a MIDI version kicks in.
Yep.
And you just hear the yeah, it's incredibly effective moment where the song stops dead and you're like, oh yeah, that's what it sounded like. And then they just kick it up and they finish the song with a ridiculous amount of energy.
I think I wrote like wailing guitars.
Yeah, wailing guitars and the organ's there, and it's terrific. I think the ending of this song, it's beautiful. I mean, I think that might be a tricky thing for some of these composers, because like none of these songs actually had endings when you think about it.
That's true.
Everything written up until Final Fantasy V was a loop, and it was designed to go on forever. As long as you didn't turn off the system, that music would continue. So they have to come up with like logical ways to finish the song. And I just really like the way this song ends. I will admit that although I think this is a great version, I do actually prefer the studio version to this live version. I just feel like it has a little bit more energy, but I think this exemplifies why I love listening to live versions of songs that I know. It's because they're always just a little bit different. Even if you prefer one to the other, there are still minute differences just in the performance, what the performers are feeling that night, the sound balance, and it makes things that you know very well fresh again. And for me, this song makes Matoya's Cave feel fresh again. So I'm really glad that I found this one.
Me too.
Definitely. I mean, it's amazing the different directions you can take with a simple melody, and I think this song really illustrates that perfectly. This track is an absolutely beautiful example of the creativity that can go into arranging some of these songs, especially when you have like an early system, early music, like you were already kind of saying. They were very short loops. So there's so many different directions you can go, many different genres. There's so many ways to build up those, admittedly, like really good melodies.
Yeah.
In different ways.
I mean, when you only have 32 seconds to make an impression, you really got to make an impression.
Exactly. And so I think that's another really exciting thing about listening to these songs live is you get immersed in seeing how they've built and changed and done all these things.
It's interesting that I agree with you that it's a beloved song, and I would probably even use the word iconic. I guess I feel like it doesn't get as much attention as some other songs from Final Fantasy 1 or some of the earlier games. I mean, unless I'm missing the mark there. But, obviously the Prelude and some other common songs, like, still come back to this day. But like Matoya's Cave, it shows up on arrangement albums, but, I don't know the last time. I don't know. Either of you tell me if I'm wrong, but like, I don't think it shows up as much as I probably think it should for such a really, familiar and memorable melody. I think when it showed up in 14, that's one of the reasons I was so surprised and happy about it, because it's a great arrangement in 14.
I was going to mention that moment that music kicked in, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
I think that actually might have to do with the character of Matoya not showing up again after Final Fantasy 1 in any game except for 14, obviously, but everything shows up in 14. Whereas like the prologue, the beginning of the battle theme, and the celebratory theme, they've shown up in every single Final Fantasy game since then. So maybe that's why it's not really as well known.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know, but I think that it's well known to people who know Final Fantasy music and listen to albums because it keeps showing up in arrangements, especially like for classic Final Fantasy albums of the 90s when there wasn't as much Final Fantasy music. They had to arrange something, so Matoya's Cave it is.
That's true.
Yeah, as far as Final Fantasy 1 arrangements, I think it's a more common one, at least in the past.
Yeah.
That and Chaos Shrine, I think.
It's so interesting to me because the original version is not... It has a great melody, obviously, because like we were just talking about that, but like the tempo of the song and the fact that there's no dynamics to it, and just it's just like it goes on and on and on. It's almost annoying. But then when they took it and they started playing with it and they started slowing it down a little bit and playing with the dynamics of this, then it became something I think really special.
At the beginning, like if you listen to the original MIDI version for too long, it's a little bit Matoya, get out of my face.
Yeah, you start developing an eye twitch.
Yeah.
But being able to do more with it, it's fantastic.
Are we ready to get dramatic?
I think we are ready to get dramatic.
Okay.
Oh, good. I've been waiting.
Now that I've thrown down against Matoya, I guess.
Bring on the drama.
Yeah, bring on the drama. Our next block is informally titled the Dramatic Vocals Block. We have a medley with some interesting dramatic atonal vocals and another song with a pretty grand, complex melody. So one of them is my pick and one is Mike's. Mike's is first, so go.
Mine is first again.
Yeah, sure is.
All right. This was kind of an unexpected choice for me. I had a lot of potential things for this episode, and I wanted to go really, especially for myself, out of left field here. So the first song is the Myst medley from the first Video Games Live album. So that's Video Games Live Level 1. And it's a medley from at least the first 3 games. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely not something I would normally pick, but after the last couple of years, I've actually finally played Myst 1 through 3. So I feel like I'm allowed to pick this one now.
Hey, look, Hilary and I are just happy that we're getting more adventure game content into the shows. That's it.
Yep, that's true.
Anything to get more adventure game content.
And it's another case of like, look what they did with this really minimalistic music.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later. I don't want to go too far into it. My pick is from the Persona 20th Anniversary Concert. It's kind of like the Final Fantasy main theme or prologue. It's a song you hear all throughout the Persona series. It's Velvet Room theme in the later Persona games. It is the poem for everyone's souls. So let's go have a listen.
I'm excited to talk about both of these songs because I've never heard them before and I haven't played any of the games. So,
ooh, that's going to be good.
Yeah, so you get to...
Wait, Mr. Graphic Adventure has never played Myst?
I know, it's a graphic adventure game. It's on my list of backlog.
I mean, it's a different kind, I guess, than some of the others.
I don't know, first-person graphic adventure games never really grabbed me as a kid. Now, I played a little bit of Myst at my friend Jeff's place when I was a kid, but like I never had a computer that was powerful enough to run it until later. And by that point, I was really into playing like more advanced titles.
I mean, that is like one of the defining characteristics of Myst, is that kind of like minimalistic first person, slow, thoughtful, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the music, actually, talking about Myst being a very atmospheric, very thoughtful, immersive kind of game, slow, the music was actually designed to fit that. I was reading an interview, and the Miller brothers were actually really picky about music for Myst because they had some previous experiences where they had someone come in from outside and do music for one of their games, and it didn't fit the game at all. They really weren't happy with it. So that's why Robyn Miller actually decided to make this like a really ambient, very minimal kind of atmospheric music for the Myst series. And it built over the titles, you know, as
the Myst series did.
Yeah, exactly. And as the capacity increased to include, you know, more dynamic music, more real orchestras, things like that. Like the Myst series definitely went in a more dramatic musical direction. So you kind of hear a little bit of that in this medley, which I will let Mike start talking about now.
Oh, that's fine. I wish I remembered that you were telling me that story the other day, because I would have looked up the other games. Although I guess if this only covers 1 through 3, that's fine. Because Robyn Miller did Myst and Riven, but not Myst 3. Which, like, that's a clue that Myst 3 is very different musically. And did Robyn come back and do one of the later games, or no?
I think he was at least involved.
In 5, maybe?
Quite possibly.
5 or 6?
6.
6.
There's 6 Myst games?
Do you mean Uru?
Yeah.
Ages beyond Myst.
Yeah, Uru. Why do I have it in my head that at some point it was marketed as 6?
I don't know.
What am I thinking
Because
of?
it came out before
I
some
don't
of
know.
the others.
I guess I'm just nuts. Anyway. So, Myst Medley. The medley is really interesting because one of my first notes is that it really escalates as it goes on. And that fits with, like Hilary said, it fits with the way the games progress too. I almost don't want to say evolved, because I don't necessarily think the music got better once Robyn was not doing them. I think it's interesting. It's really interesting to see where the games went musically once other people were working on them, because
it was different.
It was different because, like, starting in Myst 3, like, all the games were developed by different companies, like 3 and 4 and 5, or was 5 Cyan again?
I'm trying to remember when it shifted back to Cyan.
But like 3 and 4 definitely were made by different developers, because Ubisoft or someone was like publishing it back then. So I don't know. I almost wish I didn't know that playing through them, because I really notice a difference in the design of the games and the music of the games.
Yeah, Cyan came back.
Yeah.
No, wait, no, hang on. That was, I'm looking at it now. Cyan did Myst 1, they did Riven, Presto Studios did Exiles, Cyan Worlds did your favorite, Mike, Ages Beyond Myst. And then Ubisoft did 4, and then Cyan Worlds came back and did 5.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's really interesting how this medley weaves in characteristics of games by entirely different composers.
Right.
It feels like a cohesive whole, to be honest. Like it
does.
If you told me that this was the soundtrack of a game, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, it's a really well done medley, because I don't think there's a ton of overlap between Myst and Riven moving into Myst 3. There is sometimes. I don't know. I just feel like Myst 3 is more, it's not quite as atmospheric sometimes, or maybe I'm just remembering all the cutscenes with our favorite villain.
Right.
But I don't know. It's interesting. Like the first 2 games, and that is how this medley starts. You know, Myst and Riven, mostly like subtle pieces or atmospheric pieces. Even in the more dramatic parts where you are, you know, trapped in this weird cage by an old man who lives in an age that's like completely unstable and filled with lava, and he lives there by choice. I don't know, but I digress.
Yeah, the music swells there, but it's still kind of a simple melody. It's still kind of mysterious.
Yeah, even in the dangerous moments, like it still has this like atmospheric
And it's
kind of
so
quality.
good because he greets you politely. Like it all fits together really well because the music's still kind of restrained and he greets you politely. It's sort of like you don't know how much danger you're in. But anyway.
Right. Which is another point in, favor of Riven, because I appreciate that kind of villain versus the just like, oh, I'm going to kill you villain. But anyway. Yeah, and then so you have 2 games of that, then all of a sudden you get to Myst 3, and there's this like, it's the title screen, right? The title screen of Myst 3. The opening movie of Myst 3 caught me so off guard. I'm like, is this Myst? It's not bad, but it was so different, and just the vocals, and it's like, it feels like I'm suddenly in this like just dramatic, like epic action story.
And this medley actually escalates in much the same way. Like you've got simpler parts. It's quieter toward the beginning with some kind of choral vocals here and there, and then suddenly it escalates to that full, I think it is the Myst 3 title music where they're just belting it out toward the end, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. And the medley fits the games. The music, the shift in music does fit the game. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging Myst 3, because it was an interesting game, but
it's okay.
It's Myst 3 is less of a solitary experience like the first 2. Like, there is this other guy walking around, and it is like, there is this sense of danger. So I think the shift in music in 3 made sense because of that aspect. It's very different from the other ones.
Right. In the first 2 games, you do actually have a dramatic story about this family with way more power than they probably should have.
Yeah.
Any human should have. But it's kind of in the background.
Right.
You have to dig, you have to go through all the ages, you have to seek it out. And then you kind of find out what's going on with this family. But in Myst 3, events happen. Someone comes in who's been wronged by this family, and so it's suddenly just right there in front of you. Drama.
Yeah. Drama.
That's what I took from it back when, I can't remember which episode of Rhythm it was, but you brought the opening song from Myst 3 in his laboratory.
Oh, interesting study from Myst 3. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's right before stuff happens.
Yeah, I remember listening to that and watching like the cutscenes and stuff like that when I was doing my research on it. And thinking, this is very different from what I remember from watching on that screen all those years ago. Seems a lot more active than it was. From what I have read, Myst and Riven are both very atmospheric styles of storytelling where you do need to dig into the atmosphere and like find the things, and the plot is almost secondary to the experience, where it seems like after Myst 3 the plot became the driving force. I might be wrong about that because I've never played any of them, but
well, definitely in 3
that shift is pretty
4,
much there.
Yeah,
I would say.
I mean, I don't know the game, so I can't pick out individual tracks. I can just say what my overall impression of the medley is, and it's very positive. It moves through a lot of different sections, a lot of different moods. It's amazing to me how dynamic it is, given the somewhat more, let's say, static nature of the original game. I really like the percussion in the background, and how that starts building into the vocal chanting is great. Do either of you know how many tracks are here in total?
It's kind of hard to pick out specific tracks, actually, just because some of those earlier games are so atmospheric. But I think I picked out at least 4 or 5 from the different games.
There's some very interesting stuff going on. Like I get some, maybe this is just me, but I started getting some really significant Disney vibes at about 4:30 in the song, specifically The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like I was getting some real hardcore Hunchback vibes at that point.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, that's a good score to compare it to.
Oh, I gotta listen again.
It's a cool little bit of it's great music, but it really did remind me of some stuff from the Bells of Notre Dame and things like that. It was a cool thing. Also, I just want to say, if you want atmosphere, if you want something to be spooky and mysterious and kind of sad and lonely, you just get a creepy child singing a solo. That's all you need. You get a creepy child singing a solo, and bam, you are in Nightmare Land.
It's true. And they definitely do that to great effect here. They cut a lot of other instrumentation away. You get the child vocals. And I love toward the end, like the most dramatic part, a lot of what they're just singing is actually just the age names from the game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Like the main island where you spend a lot of your time in the game is Jun'ai, which if you listen I think that's the first one in the chorus. And then Amatera's in there too. That's also an age from 3.
Okay, that's cool, because when I was listening to it, I was like, what language is this? Because I don't recognize it. It doesn't sound like any language I think I've ever heard. Turns out it's English.
It's Denis. It's super mysterious.
Is Amatera the one with the marbles?
Yes.
Why'd you remind me of those stupid glass marbles? Okay.
We got stuck there.
I know. That is a nice touch, though. I liked when they can do stuff like that. And I mean, I guess, yeah. Would you say it's Denis then? Like, what language is that? Or is it just whatever all the characters came up with?
I mean, it's pretty much whatever the characters came up with, but I mean...
Either way.
Oh, did you say Denis?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were mispronouncing Disney.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, okay, I thought you were making a joke. I was like, that's funny.
Nope.
No, we can only... if we say Disney more than 3 times on this podcast, they're going to come after us.
Oh, that was 3. Good job.
I said more than 3.
And I said I said Disney, not, the other one.
Oh,
So
right.
Okay, so we're safe.
It's the other one.
Yeah. But do not start singing any of their music.
I'll just start dramatically singing age names.
Okay.
But again, a great example of taking disparate pieces of music from games, taking stuff that was originally designed to be simple, minimalist, not overshadow the game itself, and just turn it into something that could be performed, enjoyed, dramatic, moving, all of that.
Yeah.
All right. So we're ready to move on from the slightly more atonal Miss Medley to Poem for Everyone's Souls.
Yes.
All right. So I mostly chose this one because I wanted something from a Persona Anniversary concert because that series has some really great music and some good vocal tracks. But I chose this particular piece because it's interesting to hear it live with a big audience and compare that to how it's presented in the games, which will be interesting to talk about because I don't think... How many Persona games has everyone played? And which ones?
Boy.
Big 0 for me.
Okay.
None. Like I said, this entire section is just this blind spot for me of games that I should have played.
See, for once, someone has a number lower than mine. I have played 3.
Okay. Persona 3.
Actually, okay. I've started 5. I don't know, that doesn't really count, but at least I've played it a little bit.
So you're familiar with some of the best Velvet Room attendants then?
Yes.
I like Elizabeth. Anyway, so this song, it's titled a little bit differently depending on the game, like Aria of the Soul. It's a melody that's existed since before Persona 3, like way early in the Persona series.
Yeah, I listened to the original version. It kind of reminds me of Matoya's Cave. It's just like straight. There's driving.
Yeah. And it's been kind of embellished upon over time. And in the later, really popular Persona games, it kind of became this like piano and vocal piece where you've got this kind of restrained, quiet, and some strings actually, but restrained, quiet background of piano and strings kind of calling out. And then you just have these soaring, elaborate vocals. And it fits perfectly for the Velvet Room, which is supposed to be this mysterious place that exists, as Igor would tell you, like between mind and matter, between reality and everything else. So it's kind of like this mysterious interdimensional space where you fuse personas. You change aspects of your own self, soul, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So the musically, I always thought it fit really well because it almost sounds like the vocals kind of represent like something trying to get out, be free, be unrepressed, and then the background sort of is a little bit constraining. So it's sort of like an internal voice, I guess is what I'm saying, trying to get out a little bit in my head. It's kind of what I picture.
Right. Yeah, you were saying something about that the other day, how you feel like the music and the vocals feel like they have this sort of restrained quality to them in this performance.
Yeah, except the vocals. The vocals it seems like they kind of want to push and like go beyond that.
But they want to, but they don't quite get there because of that. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it.
and that fits with the location in the game. So to take that and put it in this nice big concert hall with acoustics where that voice goes everywhere, it's sort of like everyone is having that sort of like very internal experience next to each other, like that very individual internal experience next to each other, but all at the same time listening to this music. So I don't know. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier in the episode, I think it was the Chrono Cross one, of songs that, when they do a live version, they keep it pretty true to the original. And I think this is this is one of those that's largely true to the original, but the experience is just different hearing a live version. I wrote in my notes that I call this, I don't think this is the technical term, but a deceptive performance, because I haven't sat down and really listened to the original version of this song, or one of the versions, in a while. So when I first heard this, I'm like, all right, this is good. And it's one of those ones that it's kind of like the pixel remaster stuff from Final Fantasy, where you listen to it and you're like, well, this is the song I've heard in my head all this time. Mm-hmm. But then when you listen to the original, you really see oh no, it really has been updated and expanded. And so I'm glad I went back and listened to at least the Persona 3 version of this, and I realized my error. It's still good. It's still a beautiful song, but this concert version is just more full. It's richer. The pianos, there's more subtlety to it, at least again compared to specifically to Persona 3. But it was really, I'm glad I made the comparison, because I appreciated the concert one more, really listening back to back. And I mean, we have the album of this, or you can find it on YouTube, and it sounds great on a computer or through headphones, whatever, but I can't imagine what that must have been to hear that live. Mm-hmm. To be in the room for that must have been just incredible.
I think it's a stunningly beautiful piece. Not having any context from the games, I know it's all on one vowel, but I feel like if you added a couple more vowels, I could have done this as a vocalese for a voice class at school.
Right?
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. And then I did some research into it, because again, the Persona series is a big blind spot for me. I'm like, all right, what we got here? The Velvet Room. That sounds familiar. Let me see the Velvet Room. Oh, this is just a giant Twin Peaks reference. I was like, oh, it's the Black Lodge. Okay. It's the waiting room from Twin Peaks. It's David Lynch. Okay, this makes me want to play Persona way more now, because I love Twin Peaks. And I love the concepts that David Lynch brought into it. I have no idea. But when you were when you said personas and different sides of different people right there, I was like, oh yeah. Just like in Twin Peaks.
Well, there you go.
Just like in the waiting room. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, the Velvet Room looks like a giant reference to David Lynch, having directed both Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet, the movie. So
there you go.
They must have been big fans of it. And I mean, I read about the concept of the Velvet Room. I was like, okay, this might actually make me want to play the Persona series more than anything else that I've seen from reviews or footage. It's just the concept. I like this. Yeah, I would like to hear more. And I too, Mike, I went back and I listened to some of the earlier versions, and I was like, it's really cool to hear how this particular song evolved as the titles evolved as well.
Now all I'm thinking about is the different forms the Velvet Room has taken in the different games. Yeah, in 3 it's an elevator. You may have seen that. And the Velvet Room attendants are quite literally elevator attendants. In 4 it's a limo. It's just endlessly driving in the back of a limo.
Nice.
Which I think is my favorite one. It's just really neat to have a piece like that as a through line in the different games.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's a cool concept. It's a cool concept that I would like to find out what it actually means. And I probably will at some point when I play Persona 5 Royal.
Excellent.
Good idea. I have no idea how to tie anything we're saying here into the next song. So if someone has a good segue.
All right. So we have gone from the foundations with Square Enix to a little more drama. Now we're going well past 11 to numbers we don't want to take the time to say with our crowd pleaser block.
Yes. You know what here is a crowd-pleasing game? Persona 5. You know what else is a crowd-pleasing game? All of the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So I'll let you introduce your last pick, and then I'll do mine.
Okay.
Jono.
So mine is what might be one of the most stupid, awesome things I've ever found online. It's Juuji Houka, or Love on the Crossfire, from Bravely Default. Specifically, it was composed by Revo, who composed all of the music from Bravely Default. And this version is a live version by Linked Horizon, that's Revo's band group. And it's from their live concert, good God.
Luxendarc.
Rukusendaruku Kiko.
Sure.
Yes, Patrick's not here to correct me, so we're going to go with that.
You're safe for now.
Yes, safe for now, although I can just imagine him listening to this episode and being like, that's not... So this is This is a live version of Love in the Crossfire, and it is very different from the English version that you might be familiar with if you've only ever played the English version of the game.
Great. I love Revo, so I'm looking forward to discussing that one.
Oh yeah.
Well, my last pick, I just really could not resist this song because sometimes you want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
No one can ever resist this song.
It's true. So I'm going to leave it a mystery other than that. Suffice to say, having a bunch of people hear this song live and how into it they get is an amazing treat.
Yeah.
It's Pokemon time.
Now, Jason, you've traveled all over the world to different conventions and stuff. Oh, far and wide he's traveled. You've met a lot of people. What does that song mean to a generation?
It's incredible. You guys, first of all, wonderful audience. Unbelievable. I recorded this song. It's the 20-year anniversary, the Pokeversary of the recording of this song. But it hasn't been performed live until just about a year and a half ago, when Pokemon Go came out. Are many Pokemon Go people here? I hadn't been able to share this incredible experience with you guys in a live format like this for 18 and a half years. And now we're able to harness all of this energy that's been waiting inside of you for all of that time. And it's just incredible to have this opportunity to do this. Thank you, Tommy, for making this possible. And thank you guys. I'm ready. Are you ready for the OG?
Oh my God, yes! My whole life in one song.
I'm gonna hear you sing along.
Oh, I will. Oh, that's right. Love this now.
I wanna be the very best. There's no one ever was. You can't stand, it's my real test. To train him is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Be Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Oh my God! It's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Pokemon, oh, you're my best friend. In the world we must defend. Pokemon, gotta catch up on true. I'm coming to rule too. You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Make some noise, people. Every time you're along the way, it's every time will be. I will travel every day, find my right way. Gonna be time right, it's everything. Off and on, feel the fight, it's all a thing I dream. Pokemon, it's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Pokemon, oh, you're my best friend. In the world we must defend. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. I'm coming to rule us through. You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all.
Okay, so this might be one of the most batshit crazy things I've ever seen online. or listened to in my life. So I adore this concert. I found this concert months and months and months ago for an episode of Rhythm Encounter. I can't remember for what. Maybe Solosi turned me onto it. I can't remember.
That
but
sounds right.
Yeah, it's an amazing concert. Like, there's so many amazing performances in it that I just love, and that I considered putting on here. But I thought, if I'm going to pick a song, I need the biggest crowd pleaser, pump you up song ever, and that is Juuji Houka. So, in the English version of Bravely Default, you approach, I guess it's kind of like an homage to Battle of the Big Bridge, but you approach a bridge, and Praline a la Mode, who is the holder of the performer
asterisk.
Thank you. Is there, and whenever she sings her hit song, Love in the Crossfire, she pumps up the troops, and you cannot get by them. The problem is, Love in the Crossfire is like the most annoying little snippet you've ever heard, with kind of like annoying, kind of like high-pitched, I think it's a parody of pop singers and like really superficial lyrics. And it's just the chorus repeated. And I remember at the time being like, oh, this is funny because she's an empty pop star.
She's an idol.
She has nothing to say, but yet the audience is still getting pumped up.
Performer.
Yeah, exactly. And then I heard this version and was like, wait, this is what the Japanese version is? Oh, that totally works now. Because, like, if this version was being played for the troops, I totally buy that they would be, We Go Wild! Like, I totally buy it that this song would absolutely pump the troops up. So, yeah, if you are just listening to this and you heard the song and you think, wow, that was a really weird tune, I highly recommend you go to the show notes and you watch it, because it's crazy. It's fire, and it is this amazing performer who's dressed as an idol, and she's doing this super cute dance, but there's like progressive metal in the background,
pyrotechnics,
and there's pyrotechnics everywhere, and she's doing this ridiculous dance, and it's a song of so many contrasts, and it all works. They almost light a guitarist on fire at one point.
And I think this is a good time for me to step in and say explicitly, we have videos of many of these performances in the show notes. Definitely worth it, especially, to see Uematsu and Revo's band and everything Jono's talking about, but especially for this crowd pleaser block.
Yeah. If nothing else, the video versions of these two songs you absolutely have to see.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And like in this song, like when the instrumentation is going on, like the singer is like running around the stage just playing it up to the audience and like interacting and like still pumping the audience up. It's just an incredible live performance. It keeps building and building and building. And when I first heard this song, the version I found didn't have the lyrics translated. I just heard it in Japanese, and I don't understand Japanese. And then I found the version that's in the show notes, which has the song translated. And I was like, oh my God, this is Praline a la Mode, or Prin a la Mode in the Japanese version, I think. Like perfectly. Like just playing up this, I'm so cute, but I don't know how to be cute. And just like playing up to the troops. And I just buy that she's a diva of the battlefield.
Yeah, definitely based on that video.
Yeah, based on that video, she's a diva of the battlefield. And because of that, I wish that this version or anything else was in the English version of this game, because I don't think it works particularly well in the English version. I think it's very different. It kind of works, but this is just craziness. I love this song. I love it. I think it's amazing. I highly recommend you watch the whole concert if you can find it online, because it's just one performance after another. They're just showstoppers. The solo numbers of all of the character themes are incredible. They're so great. So yeah, this is a great concert that I will never pronounce the name of again. Luxendarc I'll just call it Luxendarc from this point forward. Yay.
Yep, I second that.
Well, hold on. There's two, though, isn't there?
They did... Well, Linked Horizon... Okay, Revo's band is called Sound Horizon, and that's their solo stuff. But whenever Revo works with another company or group or thing like that, he has Linked Horizon.
Oh, nice.
Linked Horizon. And there is another show. The video that's in the show notes, if you click on the channel name, you can find a bunch of other things, including another show that they did later that includes, I think, songs from Attack of the Titan.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, and I can see that it's Linked Horizon, so there's like a wide variety of stuff where he's collaborated there.
Yeah, and I mean, Linked Horizon also did Bravely Default 2, which we have not gotten a live concert of that yet because obvious reasons. Really hope that we do and that it's recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what to add. This song made me want to go listen to a bunch of Baby Metal. So if you know who Baby Metal is, that's what you should picture for this.
I was wondering if you're going to bring up Baby Metal. Yep.
I am.
I didn't know what Baby Metal was, and then last night in the chat, you were sending me things, and I was like, "What in the name? What is this?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's that same sort of juxtaposition, right? I mean, it's these ladies who are cute, almost kind of like Lolita dress, but metal style. It looks a little bit like gothy metally,
Right.
but still pretty cute. And they rock hard. The instrumentation is great, very, very good metal. But their lyrics that they sort of fit into it are more that like kind of pop star flavor, especially just the way they sound, the vocals sound. So it's that same kind of juxtaposition where you could totally see them like inspiring an army to go defend them.
Right.
Or fight with them. Probably more likely in Baby Metal's case.
Yes, this was a genre that I did not know existed. And what's really terrible, though, is when you first sent it to me, I opened it and I wasn't paying attention, and I accidentally pressed play in the chat, and then it opened in another window. So it was playing. Both of them were playing at the same time at about a quarter of a second off from each other.
Oh no!
But I didn't know that, so it was like, this is the most chaotic thing I've ever heard in my life. This is terrible. How many drums are playing right now?
Twice as many as there should be.
Yeah, as many as there should be. And then I noticed, and I was like, oh, okay, no, it's not that hard. It's not the metal isn't quite that hard. It's still listenable. If you listen to one version of it at a time. But it's very If people listening to this podcast, take a look at them. They're great.
I guess we got to link that now too.
Oh,
I mean, the funny thing is, like, I was going through and wrapping up my notes last night and figuring out exactly what I was going to say, and then of course someone links us to this Baby Metal stuff, and I spent as much time like, well, that's catchy. Let's see what else they have, and boy, that's just dangerous.
So coming in the next episode of Rhythm Encounter, Baby Metal.
Baby Metal, who are still active, by the way.
Unlike the Black Mages.
Oh. R.I.P.
You're doing it again!
You did it last time.
And you're repeating it.
I know.
That's the linked horizon I would like to see. Baby Metal and doing Final Fantasy.
Oh my god.
I would be up for that.
That's as crazy as Florence and the Machine in Final Fantasy. That would never happen. What?
That's preposterous.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back on track here.
Yes. So I don't even know what else to say about this. It's just a fantastic, fantastic performance, and I think a good example of a case where a live performance can show what a scene in a game could be.
I had no context for this. Like, you're like, hey, this is one of my songs, and I sat down to do my notes, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm listening to. I did look up exactly what you mentioned. I looked up the English version, and was like, all right. It gave me some context, at least, about how this fits in with Bravely Default. And I don't know. I'm struggling to think what else to say about it besides what we've talked about. But all I can say is that I have watched this video and listened to this song like maybe a half dozen times by now, because it just gets
so
in your head. Like the music itself, but like obviously the performance is fun. But it's just it's a good time.
Oh, it's a great time.
I obviously have to check out the rest of the concert at this point too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll send you one or two of my favorite songs. I think my favorite in the alternate version of this and the other concert is dancers come out on stage, very enthusiastic dancers with fire sticks. They're just glow sticks that look like fire, and they just like are waving them around, and they start fire spinning with them later in the number, and it's like, this is ridiculous.
I was gonna say like actual poi or like glow sticks.
Oh, they're glow sticks, but then they do poi later in the number with them, but they're not actually on fire. Now that would have been awesome.
Okay, I want to see a version of this song with just really good, involved, elaborate poi routines in the background.
You want even more danger
more
than
fire.
setting the guitarist on fire?
Love in the crossfire.
Yeah.
We've got to have as much fire as possible.
And that's I think what they went for when they did this song.
Yes.
I guess so.
Anyway.
So now we're going to move on to something maybe a little bit more kid-friendly and conventional. Yes, with Pokemon and Jason Page.
Yes.
So this is probably a part of many of our childhoods, watching the anime, hearing that theme song after school. So I really could not resist, not just because of the song itself, just because it took so long to get a live version of the song in a concert. Just the energy from the audience is absolutely astounding.
Yeah, because in the video, like he mentioned, like this is only the second time it was performed live,
right,
when this happened. Which, like, think about that. And
this is from, like, I think the most recent round of Video Games Live albums and tours. So it's recent. And Video Games Live, I think this fits Video Games Live really, really well as well. The interpretation is pretty faithful to the original. But they really make a show out of it. And I think that's a characteristic of Video Games Live as a concert series. You know, they're known for, like, in between numbers, having sing-alongs. If you look at the video for this, I think Tommy Tallarico himself is, like, leading a little Super Mario do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and the entire audience is singing. They have, like, Guitar Hero Live, where they invite someone on stage to play Guitar Hero, and then an actual guitar, like, plays the song along with them.
Yeah.
And if they make it through the song, like, they get a prize. So, I mean, it's not just a concert. It's a whole event. And I think this song fits that very, very well.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always liked about Video Games Live is they really do get some interactivity in there.
It's a show.
Yeah. And in the video, again, that we're linking to for this one, Tommy also has, like, a Pikachu themed guitar for this song,
which is hysterically funny.
Which is just great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the thing about the live version of this, I think my favorite part is it's a bootleg. So,
yeah. Oh, yep. Sorry.
But, no, it's cool, but, like, you get everything you get with. I'm glad there's a bootleg album here, or bootleg song here, because
well, we have the official version too. But
yes, we have the.
It's hard to find on YouTube where it's not a bootleg. So
yeah. The YouTube one is the bootleg one.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, I think it's great. I think it's important because that's where a lot of live concerts come from. Like, bootlegs are important.
Yeah.
And there's just you can track the realization of, like, what's about to happen.
Oh yeah.
The
people is like, wait, no, what is this really happening? Oh my god, this is happening.
Yeah. And you know what? I would have been there with them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so exciting that happened.
And it's terrific because you can hear the slightly off-key singing of the audience singing along, and
all of them.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's one of the most iconic cartoon theme songs ever written. It's a slice of the 90s. It's a slice of everyone's childhood in that room.
Yep, absolutely.
It doesn't hurt that it's also a really good song. It's not just a piece of your childhood. Like, when you go back and revisit cartoons from the 90s, some of them don't hold up, including, I would actually think, Pokemon in many ways. But something that always holds up is the theme song from Pokemon.
Yeah.
It conveys the theme and the attitude of, like, the game and the show just completely. It's all there.
They're having so much fun doing it too. Like, it's the people on stage who are playing and Jason Page, and, like, they're not just doing it as a performance. Like, this is their past as well. It's a joy to be sharing this with the audience. Right. I mean, when my takeaway was, wow, when I'd go to karaoke again at some point in the far future, I really got to sing this song.
Yes. I will sing it with you.
RPG Fan Karaoke has been an idea about Rhythm Encounter at some point. So
oh boy.
Maybe we need to do a staff-only karaoke first.
We'll warm up with that.
Yeah.
Staff-only karaoke night.
You think I'm kidding?
I don't think you're kidding. I just think it's going to be Solosy singing Bakamite just repeatedly, nonstop all night.
I mean, I'm hoping someone sings the Pokemon song after all this.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I will happily do that.
Okay.
I'll call this song.
And actually, this song is also timely because there's so much exciting Pokemon news and new Pokemon games happening right around now.
That's true. We're recording this the day before Brilliant Pearl Shining... No, other way around. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl come out.
Yeah, and it's gotten some pretty good reviews, and people seem to be enjoying it. It's a really healthy hit of nostalgia.
Yeah.
And of course, next year, the big one is coming out, the one that we've all been waiting for, Steampunk Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't play Pokemon, but even I was looking at this being like, oh, this is something different. This is much different than they've been doing the last few years.
Yep. Conceptually, it's something I've wanted them to do with this series for a really long time, so I hope it works out.
Yes, we get to see the origins of sending small children out into the field to collect wild animals.
Some of them, like giant, terrifying
Look,
wild animals.
They're 10 years old, okay? They're adults now. That's how this world is, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yes, exactly.
We can go into a whole thing about like how dangerous the Pokemon world actually is.
It's fine.
But exactly, it's all fine because we have the Pokemon theme song.
Yes.
It's a pretty darn cool song, and the fact that they actually did a live version of it is awesome.
They did the title screen music first before this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really happy we have live versions of both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So
How are we feeling?
we've had quite the journey. We've had lots of different types of performances. I wish we had more time to cover more types of performances. So I just want to, before we do housekeeping, briefly mention, we mentioned MagFest. Like there are a lot of really neat smaller performances there. Ensembles of many of the same instrument, like Akaben. There are a group of ocarinas. Every possible genre of music you can think of. The Square Enix team actually is putting on a smaller ensemble version of Final Fantasy music called A New World.
Ooh.
That's a little bit different from what we've brought on today, so I also wanted to mention that. It's speaking of like getting a new take on some of this really beloved music, like just having that limited selection of instruments so you can really hear the different parts. It's a cool alternative way to listen to some of those really popular songs. So lots of possibilities. Professional for fun at MagFest. There's just something about live music that's really magical.
Yeah, and a lot of the artists that usually attend MagFest, since they haven't been able to the last couple of years, have been doing a lot of stuff online too. A lot of stuff on Twitch, YouTube. So
yeah, the Video Game Orchestra, they are another great group. They did some online performances and put out a short album.
I think for video game fans, live music concerts provide them with an outlet to feel connected, not just to the music, but also to each other in a real personal way. Because a lot of video game fans, a lot of their socialization, a lot of their friends, and a lot of the passion that they share is done entirely online. I know that's true for me with RPG Fan. And the fact that we are finally, after almost 2 years, getting opportunities to go out again and share our passion with people in person in this way in a group setting is very important and wonderful. And I don't think that any of us are going to be taking it for granted again.
No, definitely not.
Actually, coming at it from a slightly different perspective, this is like kind of the last thing in my notes that I wanted to mention. There are actually a lot of like classical groups, orchestras, classical musicians who kind of approached it from the other way, where they have said, okay, how can we get this younger generation who grew up with video games and things like that and more into classical music? I almost brought on a really beautiful Secret of Mana medley from some classical musicians who just, without any context, just picked the video game music that appealed the most to their classically trained ears and scored it and played it. And it's just a really nice like harp and piano and string Secret of Mana medley and album.
Oh, we should put a link for that.
Yeah,
in the
game
notes.
Music. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So in terms of housekeeping, some things we have up next. We have a best of the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES time.
Oh, yeah.
So excited. I'm so excited.
It's going to be a great episode. So look forward to that. We also just recently decided we are going to do an elemental episode. So themes that represent different elements in RPGs. And we are going to also be doing, as soon as we can, a game of the year or music of the year. Sorry. Music of the year.
That's my show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing both.
Yes. Please listen to both. And speaking of that, please listen to our other podcast. We have some great other shows, and we have a host here with us.
Hello.
Yes, for Random Encounter, which is our kind of news current topics. And then we also have Retro Encounter, which is game journals and kind of fun alternative topics. And we also have Phoenix Edge, who's affiliated with us. And they do great talk about usually also kind of current games.
Current games, current events.
Events as well.
On YouTube, yeah.
Yeah.
We've been having some, a couple of days ago, Solosi was on Random, and we did a Castlevania episode, and it was a lot of fun. It's always fun talking to Solosi and like doing a retro random kind of crossover thing. Yeah.
Definitely.
And Solosi's had some really good episodes out lately. So
Yeah. I guess we could argue that a Rhythm Encounter episode about music from the 80s and 90s is also sort of a crossover.
Retro crossover. Yeah, there you go.
You're right.
Retro rhythms.
Especially since we're going to have the hosts of both other podcasts on here.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Oh, this is going to be exciting.
Yeah.
It's convergence.
Sorry, you were saying.
No.
I was getting excited about our next episode already. We have to finish this one first.
Well,
Yeah.
There's lots of exciting stuff happening.
Yeah.
Also, we mentioned the track list a lot this episode. So please check that out on rpgfan.com. There's a lot of interesting stuff to delve into there. And just so you can get in touch with us as well, we'll go around and give contact info. I'll start. I'm Hilary. The best way to reach me is Discord. I'm at EPFire there. And Mike, why don't you go ahead?
The best way to reach me would be just email. So mike@rpgfan.com.
And the best way to reach me would be jlogan@rpgfan.com, or you can find me on Twitter @Jono_Logan. Or if you have any feedback for Random Encounter, you can send us a message at podcast@rpgfan.com.
Also, please feel free to review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It's really important. Like, subscriptions and reviews help us grow. So it's greatly appreciated if you leave us some feedback. And that being said, housekeeping done, we have a bonus track, which is my choice this time. I picked it because of the conductor. I'm Renoon. She's an Irish conductor that was in charge of a lot of the Zelda concert tours. And it's just a very special piece because it's a Celtic version of Legend of Zelda. And it was kind of part of her homecoming celebration. Like, a bunch of Celtic musicians got together after she finished the tour and played a bunch of Zelda music. And from all of that, part of it was partially inspired by this medley that she did for Video Games Live. But because of her, there's just this body of Zelda Celtic music now, and it's really cool. So we're going to listen to the Celtic Zelda medley from Video Games Live.
Ooh, excellent choice.
All right, so let's go listen to that. And thank you all for listening. Good night. Take care. Well, good night, whatever time it is.
Yes. Thank you for listening, and thank you for hosting, Hilary.
Thank you. Good night for us right now.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Bye. So are we ready to possibly move on to the next block?
I don't think Mike said anything yet.
Oh,
That's okay.
at all?
Well, he said
About
some stuff,
Matoya's
but he
game?
hasn't hit.
That's okay. That's all right.
No.
I'm going back to the beginning now. It's like, okay, am I just last in the credits or am I the end credit? Because now we're just skipping over me.
It was an accident.
I know.
Mm.
That's
Now we're
okay.
in season 5 of Community.
Oh dear.